Okay, so welcome all of you to the online stats class. And let me tell you the plan. This is a very different webinar than our normal webinars. This webinar is all about introducing the course, talking about what to expect, talking about how to succeed. But what I'm not going to do is actually do any statistics. Whereas every webinar after today, we're doing stats. And that's pretty much the whole point of it. This point is to get you so that you understand how to navigate through Canvas and how to see what's going on in the class, understand what's going to be assigned each week and how to go about that. And also, one of the nice things about webinars is that they're live, which means that if you have a question, you can pop in the chat box your question, and I'll be able to answer it immediately, okay? Or within a few seconds. I always have one eye on the chat box. And whereas in regular videos, which I have a lot of videos too, you ask the video a question, nothing will happen because it's just a video. But here you ask a question, I'll help you out. So again, feel free to type into the chat box any questions you have. You can also feel free to unmute yourself and then ask the question that way too. There'll also be times I ask you a question. The main questions I'll be asking you will be questions to collect data, because this class is all about taking a look at data and then analyzing it. So it's nice to have a group because I can grab data from y'all and we can analyze it and we can learn about each other. I will let you know again, the chat box is not going to be recorded. So if you type something in the chat box, like if I ask you something that you may not want to tell the whole world, but you're okay with the class seeing, then don't worry about it because the world won't see the chat box, only the class. So this is that. The chat box is like if you were in a regular old in-person class and you said something in class, that's who's going to hear it. Has there been a day, time that the other classes will be? So when you mean other classes, so I have, I think you probably mean other statistics classes. You probably don't care about my linear algebra class, is my guess. I have another section. I have two sections of statistics. And what I do to make it more convenient to y'all is that I will open up the webinars to both of the sections. So you probably don't even know who's in which section. And I have a list, but I don't have y'all memorized on what section. So you'll probably mean by sections. If you mean by other classes with other instructors that teach stats, then that's just on the schedule and you can look at the schedule and see those other instructors. In terms of the webinars, the orientation webinar is now. Since you're here, then obviously you can make it. And it's also at 6. And if you're all here, since you're all here, there's no need to go to the 6 o'clock one because I'm just going to repeat. There's nothing new. So that's just a note. Then there's a weekly webinar that is about statistics. We're actually do the content of the class. That's not today. And the first one is tomorrow evening. And I sent everybody I put an announcement up, which should go to your college email address. So it's very important that you frequently look at your college email address. And there's two good ways of doing that. One is go to Passport, and go look at your email that way. If you have another email address, like I do, for example, that you look at and you don't really look at your college email, what I recommend is go to your college email and then do an auto forward to the email that you look at so that you'll actually get to see all the announcements. The announcements are important. So I'll be sending out announcements every week. And it is important to see what gets sent out. So whether you do it by looking at your college email or do it by forwarding from your college email to your regular email or your text, it is very important that you do that. So I'm not sure, did I answer your question about has there been a day, time that other classes will be? So tomorrow evening at 6 will be the first regular webinar. And that's already up there. In fact, all of them are up there and I'll show you how to find them all. But what I will always do is I will take a request for a second if you want a second. And second meaning a repeat of what's already going on. Okay, for the orientation, I basically made it myself because I hadn't met you yet. The orientation is the first one, so I can't expect you to know about it. But for example, tomorrow at 6 is the chapter 1 and 2 webinar. And if you can't make it then and you want a different time, go ahead. And I'll show you how to ask. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the course and I'm going to share my screen. And we're probably at the point where all of you are used to all of this online stuff because a year ago I taught online and a lot of people will be their first class ever online. But my guess is that you're probably more used to it now because everything's online. And I hate it. I don't hate online, but I hate the fact that I'm not even allowed to walk into my college and like get my stuff. Okay, or even teach. I have a double beautiful screen up in my office and I can't use it. So you're probably used to it, but if not, I'm here to help you out. So you probably even know Zoom. Okay, my guess is you probably hadn't even heard of Zoom a year ago. But I've been using Zoom for about 5 years now, and I was using something else before that. So I've been doing this I was one of the first in California ever to do webinars. So I've got it. That's the good news. I'm not going to like try to figure things out as I go because I've been doing this forever. So I'm going to share my screen, which I'll do a lot of, by the way. And I think that is that guy. And let me hit the home button so I'll show you where everything is. Okay, so this is what you'll look at when you first go into the class. And you'll see it shows the most recent announcement. It also has a bunch of other stuff. What I want to do, though, is I want to go to the syllabus. This is the orientation. This is not about it's not about learning new statistics today. So today is about navigating and seeing what the class is about. And the syllabus has a description of the class. So let me click the syllabus, and it has a lot of other things too. So here's the syllabus. And I want to remind you, please ask questions if you have any. Again, either by talking or by chat boxing. So the first thing, let me just go through this somewhat line by line. Some things I'll skip. This is statistics, elementary elements in statistics and probability. So again, it's a class where it's kind of weird for a lot of you. A lot of you have been taking math since you were 5 years old. This is it. For many of you, this is it. You'll never have a math class again. You're done with math after today. Not after today, after this quarter, end of March. So I do not treat this as a class to get you ready to learn more mathematics, which is what most other math classes are. This class I treat as how do you use statistics to understand the world? Okay, and understanding the world might be, for example, what's the big news article today? See if you guys know. Anyone following the news? There's really only one.
Senate race?
Yeah, the Georgia Senate race, and statistically, that's over.
Yeah.
Okay? The Democrats have taken it. Okay, and again, even they say 99% that's enough because the Democrats have taken it. What that means to the world, we'll find out. That I can't tell you for sure, but I can look at statistics to see what's happened in the past when this kind of stuff happened. Okay, so that's a neat thing. No matter what we're doing, I can always bring in statistics. Okay, but today we're not going to. Today we're just going to be going through what to expect in the class. But I will let you know that we're always going to be using it. Okay, and a lot of it's going to be depressing. Or at least the same thing. What is everyone talking about in the last 8 months or 9 months or so?
COVID.
Yeah, COVID. So most of the statistics out there is on COVID because that's what everyone cares about right now. So there's going to be a lot of statistics about COVID vaccination. Hopefully it's all going to be positive and great. That's my hope. But we'll be able to look at it statistically and see. Okay. And I can tell you, for example, because I have looked at it in detail, the initial trials that they did and the studies, they had a sample size that was 40,000 with a randomized control study. If you don't understand those words, that's okay. If you don't understand them in a week, that's not okay. And it really is safe. Okay, that's the great news. Okay, it really is safe and it really does work. And that is done through two things. One, biology, which this is not a biology class, so I'm not going to go over any of that. And the other is statistics. And we'll be able to see why we know it's safe. And hopefully you'll all be convinced by the time we're done with class, or hopefully earlier. Okay, so that's why I like this class, is that this class is about using statistics to understand the world. And that might be the news, it might be your major, whether you're a psychology major or a nursing major or I don't know, physical ed major, whatever it might be. Statistics is used everywhere. So very easy to bring it in. So that's the good news. It's a 5-unit quarter class. I know some of you, although I saw most of you are 530 area code. So a lot of you are Tahoe people, is my guess. Could be Placerville too, I guess. But some of you aren't, but we're a 12-week class. And there are no snow days. Usually this time of year, I've talked about snow days, but snow days don't happen in online classes. So that won't happen. There could be a time when we lose electricity though, and I might lose internet. And if that happens, I apologize, but life happens. But probably not too much. It's pretty stable here. That's the good news. Hopefully it doesn't happen at all during the webinar. The best way to get in touch with me is my email. And you could either email me directly with this email, or you can do the inbox and then you can send me an email that way. So both ways, send me an email. And I check my email more often than is healthy. Usually 60, 70 times a day. Okay, so if I don't get back to you within a day, that means my electricity's out or internet's out. It means I can't get back to you. Okay, I will see your email. That's just my way. Okay, if anything ever happens, let's cross our fingers, nothing like disastrous happens. And I know ahead of time, I'll let you know, but I doubt it. So I'm very good about getting back to people pretty much right away. Email you should use when you have something that you don't want to share with the class. If the class is going to get helped by it and it's not personal private stuff, then you should use the Q&A form, which I'll show you in a bit, and not email. Because the idea is that, like, if you have a question about, you know, problem number 6 on the assignment for this week, that's something that's going to help other people because they're going to be able to see how to do that problem as I go over it. And so if you send me an email saying, how do you do problem number 6 on the assignment? I'll send you an email back saying, post it on the Q&A form. On the other hand, if you send me an email saying my power went out yesterday, you know, help me out in terms of figuring out, you know, how to get this assignment done, that's probably an email thing because that's more personal. Does that make sense? Any questions on the idea between the two types of communications? Yeah. Okay, and I'll show you in a bit the discussions. Okay, what I recommend you doing, see this Canvas web page? I recommend you putting that into your favorites or your bookmarks, I mean, on your browser, so that if the college server goes down, then there's a chance that this link still might work and you still might be able to get into the class even though the college is down. Because you may not know it, but it turns out that the server actually, the Canvas server resides on Amazon. And Amazon never goes down. That's the good news. Okay. The only reason why you won't be able to get in is if the login, which goes through some weird routing system, doesn't work. But the Amazon is, like, I wouldn't say completely bulletproof, but basically. So I recommend you having that link on your bookmarks so that you've got it. So this link number 3, live lectures and office hours information. What that is where we are now. So that's the Zoom link. And what I do, and I'm going to cross my fingers that I don't have any total losers, you know, Zoom banging me or something, is that I use the same link for everything. And that way it's much easier for you to just log in. and that'll always be the link. So the one you're in now is a Zoom link. But if you click on number 3, that'll get to what I just sent. I also will send it every week to you as an announcement. Okay, and it's in some other places. Okay, archive lecture. The reason why this one's not linked is that this is our first lecture. So there isn't a collection of lectures yet to link to. But by the end of the day, there will be a YouTube channel that is the statistics webinars. And that by the end of the day, this will be linked to it. But if it doesn't exist, I can't link to it. Does that make sense? But it will exist in, a couple hours. And it usually takes me, the way it works, by the way, is I give the webinar, then I record it. And then what happens is Canvas has to deal with the recording, kind of process the recording. Then I get an email from Canvas. Okay, actually Zoom, not Canvas. I get an email from Zoom saying your recording's ready. Then I take that recording and I upload it onto YouTube, and then YouTube processes it, and then it's up. So that usually takes around an hour. Sometimes it takes longer, sometimes it takes shorter. It all depends on how long the processing happens. But I will have every webinar up on the YouTube channel. Right now, again, there's no channel yet because if you don't have anything to link, you can't have a channel. But that'll change by the end of the day. Any questions on that? Okay, I also have what's called full-length YouTube lectures. So I've been teaching this class for a very long time, and I actually made these a long time ago, which means there are no current events in these guys. And this is another YouTube channel. And you will notice that there are 13 videos here. Any guesses why there's 13? Not because I'm trying to do some unlucky number. Yeah, there's 13 chapters in the book. There's 13 chapters in the book. And what I made is I made one video for every chapter. So you'll notice in the times that we're looking at, there's like 52 minutes, 51 minutes, 36 minutes. Okay, so you can see they're mostly less than an hour. Here's one that's a couple that are slightly more than an hour. So they're longer videos, but they're worth it. And they're a little old, and they're also pre-COVID. So I use the TI-84, which is not what we're going to use in this class, by the way. But yeah, still be able to figure it out. That won't be too big a problem. And I don't have time to, you don't know how many hours it takes to make each of these. So,
now, how did we get to the videos again?
Okay, so from Canvas, from the syllabus.
Okay.
See where it says full-length YouTube lectures.
Okay.
Just click on it. And then it'll take you to YouTube. And that'll get, the other way is you can type in, you go to YouTube, type in Larry Green, and you can type in, I don't know, whatever chapter we're in, whatever the name of the chapter, and that'll get you to it too. YouTube is pretty good. But I should warn you, I have several hundred videos on YouTube. So if you just type my name, it could take forever to find the right one. So you got to type in some words too. Okay, if you're going to do just from YouTube. Okay, here's another thing I have. It says lectures from Eve class. Any of you know what Eve is? Not Adam and Eve, by the way.
Evening.
Yeah, Eve is what the college did after COVID. So our college closed down, as all colleges closed down, basically. And
so is it no course materials?
So these are more lectures.
Oh.
But what happened is in the spring of 2020, my face-to-face class suddenly became an online class. So those are full-length lectures 3 days a week because of the regular full-length, where they had to be there at that time. So these are much more in depth. So instead of having an hour to hour and a half webinar every week, they had about 4 hours a week of webinar. So if you want more in-depth videos on the chapters and going over quizzes that I would give and stuff like that, then this link will get you there. And this has not current anymore events. So we were just learning about COVID during that time, but statistics is statistics. And so these are, again, I don't know if I did it by date. So you can say March 9th, March 14th. I figure I put it up there in case you wanted some more in-depth lecture, like a regular course instead of what I'm going to be giving you, which is an hour to an hour and a half lecture for the whole week, where these are hour and a half, 3 times a week. Same chapter, same content, everything's the same except that it's more in depth. So more examples, that kind of stuff. Okay, so one of the things, and I don't want to scare you, so I figured I better tell you before you get scared, is I'm a believer in putting a whole lot of information, a lot of resources up there. And then you get to decide what works for you. Because everyone has their own learning style. So whatever works for you is what you should do. I'm not saying you have to do every single video. That would be 10 hours a week of just videos probably. But find the type that work for you. So again, we'll have our webinars. That's required, by the way, because that's our weekly, on time for this class. We have the chapter videos. We have these Eve videos. And let me show you one more. Then I have actually a couple more. These short introductory videos, these are just like 3 minutes a week, sometimes 4. And that's just to say hi. That's all those are. And it gives you a tour of the college because we don't get to go to the college. So you can feel like you're part of the college, at least the physical part. And I'll let you look at that. But I don't go over any like details of anything. I just talk about what's happening for the week. And then videos of worked out examples. These are going to be especially helpful when you're working on the assignments. So if you get stuck on a particular problem, there'll be a link in the problem to a couple videos that are relevant to what you're doing. But in case you want to watch them, I have a whole YouTube channel of that too, or YouTube list, playlist is what these are. And there's a lot of them, as you can see. And that's because there's a lot of kinds of problems that you could get. Any questions on all these videos that I've made? Any questions? Okay, so lots of resources. Okay, there's lots of resources. Again, the only requirement in terms of video is you have to watch the webinars. And those are an hour to an hour and a half a week. So that's not much time. All the rest of them are for whatever works for you to learn. Any questions about any of the videos first? Okay. I also have some interactive applets, and that I'll talk about when it's time. Those are going to be review for the final, and it's way too early to start reviewing for the final. Okay, and maybe reviewing for the second exam, but that's another day. So I'll just let you know they're there. The textbook. One of my mission in life in the last probably about 5 years of a major mission, but I've been doing this since I started teaching, is that I do not want anyone to have to drop this class because you can't afford the book, or you can't afford the homework license, or afford the calculator or anything. So everything in this class is free. It is all free. And that includes a textbook. So the textbook is a free book, and the homework assignments are free. There's no login information. And this isn't just me. It's my mission in life, not just for my classes, but for the world, or for the country at least. I don't speak enough languages to do it to the world, but at least for English-speaking countries. And I have made sure that anybody anywhere in the country or English-speaking countries can access the stuff I've created. And so, for example, this book, Introductory Statistics book, this was written by Barbara Lasky and Susan Dean. Barbara Lasky actually worked with a lot long time ago. She retired a couple years ago, but I enhanced the book personally. And it's used by a lot of classes, hundreds and hundreds of classes, not just our college. And it's called Introductory Statistics. But the original thing was called Introductory Statistics. Now it's called Introductory Statistics, OpenStax with multimedia and interactivity. Because I'm a believer that I think it helps, instead of reading a static textbook, you can also see what's going on and hear what's going on at the same time as you're reading. So what I've done is I've taken the book and I've put in all kinds of multimedia and interactivity. So for example, I don't know, let me just throw a chapter, chapter 8, 8.4, and you'll see the text. And then here's a video you can watch that's embedded in the textbook. Here's a calculator to do what you're doing right in the book. And this is all interactive. It's not a picture of a calculator. It's actually, 333, and maybe X is 98, and CL level might be 0.95. And you hit calculator and it gives you the answers. So I've put that into the book. I've even put some games in the book. I think not in this particular section. I put some games, I put some visualizations. And so that was my part of the book. Barbara Lowski and Susan Dean did the text writing, although I did write some of the text also, okay, for a couple chapters. And it's all free. Anybody can use it. And it's really used by a lot. And if you want a print version, this is probably not the best for the print version, because you don't need a picture of a video. That doesn't help for the print version. Then let me know and I'll show you where to get a print version. There's a couple ways. There's the original LibreText version. There's also the original OpenStax version if you want paper version. What I found is most people don't want to care that much about paper. And you do have to pay for the paper if you can hit print. And it's a lot of pages. So paper costs money, and so does ink, by the way. And you could have a really good printer. Okay, or you could pay someone to do it. You can pay a company and they'll print it for you. And still, it used to be $250 when we had a publisher version of the book. Even if you have some professional do it for you, it's usually about, I think, $30 or so, something like that. So it's still not much. But it's free if you do it online. Any questions at all on the book? Okay, and what I recommend is, you look through the book, you read it, you look at some of the videos, find out what works for you and do that for learning. So whatever works for your learning is what you should do. And I can't tell you what works for you because you're you. And everyone learns a little bit differently. Any questions at all on the textbook? Okay. All right. And I think it's also sold at our library. I mean, at our bookstore, in case you want to buy the print version. I think they also have a version. Most people don't, but you can. Okay, I'll let you read through the student learning outcomes. Again, it's too early to really understand what it all means. You'll get that as it goes. I do, just to make things simple, 90, 80, 70, 60 for my grading scheme for A, B, C, and D. Okay. And here's the breakdown of the course grades. So you're going to have weekly chapter assignments. That's 10% of the grade. You're going to have discussion posts due. That's 10% of the grade. You're going to have an exam 1. That's 12.5%. An exam 2 is 12.5%. You're going to have 2 group projects. Those are each 12.5%. And you're going to have a final exam, which is 30% of the grade. And that's how the course grade works. Okay. I will let you know there is no extra credit in this class, like for extra stuff that you just want to do. So don't ask. The answer will be no. If you ask, it'll just be no. So I don't do extra credit. You can ask and it will be no. Just let you know. Here's a question of groups assigned. Good. I'm going to get over that in a little bit. But the answer is you find them and I'll show you how. Okay. Or I'll show you the easiest way of finding it unless you happen to like know people in the class. But if you don't, then there's a much easier way of finding people. And I'll explain that in a bit. But I'm trying to kind of go in the order of the syllabus, and we'll get there in a bit. So there's a whole section on the projects. Okay, so here's the exam policy. Okay, and this is very important. And this is because we're in COVID times. So I can't send you to a library to take the test. That's what I would normally do in an online class. But they're not open. Okay, and I don't know if when they're going to be open, which means everything has to be done online, period. It can't be paper and pencil test. So you're going to be using what's called Proctorio, which is a artificial intelligence based proctoring system where it watches you. Okay, and it does not mean there's a person. Don't feel embarrassed. It's a computer, and you should never be embarrassed about a computer seeing you. Okay, and the only one that can see the video is me. And yeah, I have the right to watch you take the test. Okay, and I'm only going to watch you, and I'm only going to turn on that video and look at it if you did something that the artificial intelligence system called fishy. And that doesn't mean that you cheated. It just means that I'm going to look to see. So if you don't cheat, then there's nothing to worry about. That's the idea. So, but to use Proctorio, just a note, one, you must have a computer, but if you don't have a computer, you can't pass this class. I mean, kind of need that, but it must also have a webcam. And I will let you know, if you don't have a computer with a webcam, our college will give you one or loan you one for free. Okay, all you have to do is send me an email saying, can I be signed up for, they have Chromebooks. And I actually started that way before COVID, actually. And in fact, I started it in K-12. That's a whole nother story. So they'll give you a free computer if you don't have a computer with a webcam. Okay, if you do have a computer with a webcam, then don't worry about it, you're good. Most people do, most computers nowadays have one. Okay, for the tests, you get to have a note card. For the regular exams, exam 1 and exam 2, 3" by 5" front and back. For the exam, you get to have a note paper. So a standard 8 by 11, 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. And that's what you're allowed to have for the final exam. Okay. And I'm not going to read all of this, but basically you need to take the test. But one of the things about this is they are time certain tests. So, but here's it. This is an online class, so I can't expect you all to be able to make it at a certain time. So what I did, one of the good things you can be happy about is that I've learned a lot from last quarter and the quarter before, like what works for people and what doesn't work for people. So what I did is I made 3 copies of each exam. And you take one of them. So for example, exam 1, you could take Thursday at 6 p.m. It's a 2 hour, all exams are 2 hours. So if it says due it by 8, it means 6 o'clock. Okay. You could take it on Saturday, February 6th at 8 a.m. Or you could take it on Sunday on February 7th, and that would be 11 a.m. So you need to be able to make one of those times. Okay, and they're set. And what I did is I used what worked for everyone last quarter. Hopefully that'll work. And what I found is that if you do a little weekend, little daytime, little weekend, a weekday, a weekend, morning, kind of lunchtime, and then evening, that tends to work for everyone. Can do at least one of them. And hopefully it can. Please let me know if it can't, but it should be able to work. So you know the schedule, and this has exam 1, this has exam 2, and it has exam 3 in there. There's exam 2, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. So I just kept them in the same day and times. And then the final exam is a little different. Final exam is Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And again, subtract 2 hours, and that's when the exam starts. Any questions about the exam? So you have to take one of those times for each exam. Okay, it is really the only time certain and it's only somewhat time certain part of this whole class. And that's because I can't do proctored tests, which means I have to do this kind of time certain thing. Any questions? Okay, so one thing you could be happy about is all the things I tried that just failed badly, I found out last quarter and the quarter before. So I don't know, I wouldn't say all because there may be a few more. And I'm not doing those anymore. So you don't have to see my mistakes like last quarter and the quarter before did. I found out one exam time does not work, but 3 tends to work. And I spent a big part of my break. I've actually written all 9 exams already. So they're all ready to go. Okay, but you can't take them now. You have to wait until those times. You won't be able to open them until then. You can't take the exams early. No, that's the whole point. You have to take the exam at one of those dates. Okay, so hopefully you have, there'll be 3 times where you have to be in an exam, but each of those exams, you get 3 choices.
I have a question too. So if the exam's due at 6, can we take it at like 2 o'clock?
No, so that means it starts
Okay.
at, no, it means you take it at 4.
Okay, all right,
The
thank you.
only exception is that if you have a disability, and because you have a disability, then you get 3 hours instead of 2 hours because your disability requires an extra hour. Then what I do is you need to make sure that you're taking it for the 2 hours during the exam, and you can either take an hour, start an hour before or finish an hour later. Does that make sense? Or for 4 hours, same idea. So for disabilities, of course, accommodations are met. And I'll talk about a little more details about that in a little bit. But otherwise, those are the times to take the exam. But I give you 3 different times, and they're like evening, morning, and midday. And, that ought to work. At least it did last quarter. You should be able to make one of the times, especially when you got like a month to prepare for the time, for, scheduling. Okay, so let me get back. So that was the exams. So assignments are computer graded, whereas the exams are partially computer graded, but mostly me graded. Mostly I'll be grading them. The assignments are full computer graded, and the assignments are always due, except for this week. This week's a whole weird thing. They're always going to be due on Sunday night. And here's the deal. If you need extra time, you need to let me know by Friday before it's due, because I want you to be working on it during the week. And then if you find out you're not going to be able to finish by Sunday because you've spent so much time during the week and you still can't, you don't have time on the weekend, then I'll give you an extra day or 2. But if you ask me Sunday, I won't give you an extra time. So that's my rule about the deadlines, is I only accept extension requests if they're asked by Friday night, because I want you to try during the week to do these. You shouldn't be doing everything on Sunday. It's not enough time. Okay, there is an assignment for each chapter. So as you can guess, there's 13 assignments of these regular assignments. And some are multiple choice or true false. Some are type in a number. Some are, so that kind of stuff. Okay, so they're different because they're computer graded. Okay, the discussion posts. So the discussion posts, you're going to have a discussion post a week, except this week there's an introduction one where you just introduce yourself basically, and you say some fun stuff about yourself. But then every week there's a regular statistics discussion post. Most of those, not all, but most of those are, you have to go online and find a current event, like an article that goes over or uses something that we're doing that week. And then you share it. And then you have to find someone else who did it, and you have to reply and analyze the statistics that's been used in the article. So I'll talk about that in a bit. Any questions on that? Okay, normally they're due on Sunday. This week is different. Why is this week different? Anyone guess? Yeah, because Wednesday already. And I didn't feel comfortable saying you have to finish by Sunday when our class starts on Wednesday. So this week you get an extra couple days, but every other week you have to do it by Sunday. And I'll be grading them. The live webinars we've talked about, but I want to mention some of the details. As I mentioned, I'll be taking roll, and I took roll for those who showed up with by around 11:03 or so. And those who showed up late, you need to stay a little after so that I can get your names down, is how we're going to do it. Okay, so if I didn't call out your name saying I got you on the roll, then make sure you stay at the end, and then I'll get you later. Okay, and I'll mark you as attended, because I can't be doing this lecture and doing the attendance all at the same time, and because when I'm sharing my desktop, I don't get to see all the names. Okay, so that's just a note. On the other hand, the regular webinars, like tomorrow evening, we have a webinar. So tomorrow there's a webinar at 6, and that's going to be on chapter 1 and 2. So that's going to be a statistics content webinar. Those are, you don't have to attend live. What I will do is during the webinar, not for the orientation you have to attend live, is I will give out a secret word somewhere in the webinar, and it'll be obvious, don't worry about that. And if I forget, please remind me. And then there's a secret word quiz every week. And you answer, you type the secret word. That's all it is. There's one question. What was the secret word? You write down the secret word, and that's it. You're recorded. Okay. So just a note, for each regular webinar that you miss and you don't do the secret word, you can watch it later and do 5 pages of notes, which is a pain in the butt, and you probably don't want to have to do that. So it's always better to watch it the week of. If you don't do any of that, you lose 5% per missed webinar for the course grade. So it's painful. So you need to watch the webinars. For the orientation, you have to watch it live, or if you miss it, you have to watch it within a week and send me 5 pages of notes on what we talked about, or you're going to lose 15%. So again, if you're here, there's nothing to worry about in the webinar. Make sure if I didn't call out your name, if I didn't check you at the end, get checked. If you're not sure, ask, say something at the end. But that's just a note, very important. Okay, any questions about the webinars? Any questions? Okay, now the project. Now I can answer your question of the project. So for the projects, you're going to be working with a group of 2 or 3, strongly recommend 3. But because there's only a 33% chance that we have a multiple of 3 for our course, I can't require 3 people. So you can work with 2, but you can't work with 4, and you can't work by yourself. So let me show you the best way of finding a project partner. Okay, and I'm not going to go over the details of the project today. Well, we'll have a whole webinar where I spend half the entire webinar just on project 1. But I want to show you how to find partners, because you can do that right away. You're ready. You don't need any statistics to find a partner. And that is if you go to the discussions button. You'll see right here, since we're here, I'll talk about the discussions. The first link is Q&A forum, Q&A, question and answer. And that's where you ask questions that are not personal. Like, how do you do this kind of problem? I don't understand, the concept of, I don't know, regression or something like that. And then I'll help you. And you can help each other too, by the way. You're welcome to answer each other's. Right now, no one's done it yet because this is our first moment of class, basically. Okay. Someone asked, will the webinars be on Wednesday? Usually not. So I'll show you in a bit while we're here where the webinars are and when they are. Okay, then there's Project 1 discussion forum. If you click that, Right now, there is nothing in it because again, we're at the beginning of class. This is where the first thing you're going to do is you're going to hit reply. And then you're going to type, I'm looking for 2 partners or something like that. I want to start early. Or whatever you want to say, whatever you want to talk about, kind of your style or something like that. And then I'm not going to do this because then you're going to think you could be my partner, which you can't be my partner, by the way. You hit post reply. I'm going to hit cancel, but you're going to hit post reply and it'll show up after you replied. And then if you see someone else that said, I'm looking for a partner, join in, reply to that person, say, hey, let's be partners. Okay. And you can share information. You can also, again, with this inbox, you can actually email each other. If you want to, or if you feel comfortable, you can give your information here. You don't have to. But you can use your college email and email each other, or you can talk about what your text is, or whatever it is for information. And then find partners. That's the easiest way. So the hope is within the next couple hours, I'll see a whole lot of people that have posted here. It only takes a minute to do that. And then once you've found 3, you're done. You found 3. You might want to check up once in a while, make sure the person hasn't dropped the class, because some people drop class. You never know what happens in people's lives. Any questions at all on finding a partner? Any questions? Okay. And then after that, I'll tell you what you're going to be doing with the project, but it's too early now to talk about it because you haven't learned the statistics yet to start on it. So the one thing you can do today is find partners. That you can do and exchange your information on how to communicate with each other. Okay, let's go back to the syllabus. Okay, so we just talked about the project. Q&A forum, I just talked about that already. And by the way, I look at the Q&A forum very often, so you can expect it. I will let you know on Monday, Wednesday, Friday between 1 and 2:45, I will not be answering any of your questions. Any guess on why?
You have class.
Yeah, I'm teaching my linear algebra class, so don't expect me to be quiet then, because it won't happen. The other time I am definitely quiet is between 10 p.m. and somewhere between 4 and 6 in the morning. Any guess on why?
You're sleeping.
Yeah, I'm sleeping. So I'm an early riser. Do not be surprised if you get a 4:30 in the morning email from me, because that can happen. But if you send me something at 9:45, it might be too late. I might be asleep. So just let you know, I do go to sleep really early. I will never answer a question at 11:30 p.m. I celebrated New York New Year's this year because there's no way I can make it to our New Year's. So just let you know, that's just me, and we're all human, and I sleep, and my sleep time is usually around 10-ish. Okay, so just a note, that's the time to get a hold of me. Mornings are usually good, but then I always teach. And just let you know, that also means that if you want another webinar time, which I didn't mention, let me mention that now. For example, the chapter 1-2 webinar for this week is tomorrow at 6. If you want another time, you can go to the Q&A forum and post, hey, can we have a webinar at a second time at whatever? And then if you ask for 11 p.m., I'll say no, I'll be asleep. But if it's a time that I haven't already told you that it's definitely no, there's a good chance I'll say yes. And I will be happy to do a repeat of each regular webinar but it has to be requested, is the idea. So the idea is I have webinars set every week, but I also have one extra repeat webinar that I'm happy to do, but upon request.
Are they set on a certain day?
Yes, let me show you. Let me go back to, if I hit the home button, you'll see. So for example, this week, because they're already set and established, this week, if you go to week 1, you'll see the webinar in chapter 1-2 is at 6 p.m. tomorrow. If you go to week 2, then it's Wednesday at 6. Again, because we're starting Wednesday this week, I have to do weird. Usually I do Monday, Tuesday, but I have to get flexible because we're starting weird times. Does that make sense? So after that, it'll always be Monday or Tuesday. So week 3 is Tuesday. Week 4 is Monday. And I always do it at 6 p.m. because that tends to work for a lot of people, not everyone. But I found that the 6 p.m. time, in my 15 years of doing this, I get the most people. So that's why I do the 6 p.m. as the set times. But if you want a lunchtime on, say, Tuesday on week 4, I could do that. You just have to put in the Q&A form, hey, can we have that? And don't ask me 30 minutes beforehand, ask me the week beforehand. It's usually like Thursday or so before, so that everyone knows about it. My one requirement is that if you ask for a time for the next week for an extra webinar, and I say, yes, we're going to do it, you have to show up. Don't ask and then miss it. Okay, so that's the one thing, is that if you ask, that means you really want it then, and you're going to be there. Okay, so that's my one requirement. Not that I'll take off points, but I'll get mad at you. How's that? Okay, so if you ask, you got to be there if I make it happen. And then, like I said, you can go through week 7. It's a Tuesday. So it'll be Mondays and Tuesdays after week 2. Because we're starting on Wednesday this week, I had to adjust. Usually for normal quarters, we always do Monday, Tuesday. But this quarter, the first week, I need to adjust. And then the second week, because if I had it on Monday, then that's not enough time for you to get the homework done. And it just didn't work. So that's why next week is Wednesday. So that's when it is. But I could do Tuesday next week if you want. You just have to ask. Okay. And if you ask and I say yes, that doesn't mean the other one is removed. It means it's a repeat. It means there'll be a second repeat. And I do 2, up to 2. Any questions on the webinar flexibility? Okay, so let me get back.
I do have like one question.
Yeah.
Sorry. So they're mainly on Monday and Tuesday, correct? So I looked at the thing.
Yeah, they're always Monday and Tuesday, except for this week and next week.
Okay. Which will be
But, and I'm not going to do it Friday because that's too late. The idea is that after the webinar, that's when you start doing your assignments and stuff.
Yeah.
So if you're going to ask for another time, it should be Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, except for this week and next week. Okay, but really except for this week.
And Wednesday, you said sometimes?
I could do a Wednesday, but never between 1 and 2:45 because I teach a linear algebra class. And I don't think I have anyone taking both my classes. Sometimes I do.
Okay.
Linear, and by the way, if you come to my office hours, I'll talk about that in a bit. And you log in and here I'm talking about something that's like totally over your head. Don't freak out. It means I'm helping one of my linear algebra students, and just like wait a bit and then I'll help you out. Okay, because linear algebra is like our most advanced class at the entire college in math. So just trust me, it's brutal. It's all proofs.
Okay, thank you.
So, but yeah, so as long as it's not during my other class, okay, or some other thing that I've got a commitment for, and there could be a few things here and there, but mostly not. It shouldn't be during my office hours either, because again, office hours are supposed to be office hours and not lecture hours. So I'll show you that in a second, because that's coming up. Okay, so then there are, where am I? So diversity inclusion statement, most important thing, and this is for everyone, is that get along. We need to really understand that we're all coming from different backgrounds and treat each other as professionals, and just be nice and professional. And no matter where you're coming from. We all should accept each other. So that's the main thing. And I'll let you read through this. If you want to give me anonymous feedback, there is a link to anonymous feedback. But I'll never take off points because you gave me feedback. So you can always just send me some feedback, email me or whatever, if you have a suggestion for the class. Netiquette guidelines, that basically says, don't, treat each other like you would in a face-to-face class. Don't scream and yell at each other, and in type. Make sure that you realize that we're all people, even though you've never seen a person's face. That doesn't mean it's not a person. So make sure that you do well for each other. My office hours are Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 2:45 to 3:45. Okay, and a warning at 2:45, you're welcome to come, but don't get scared if I'm talking about matrix theory, because again, that's right after my linear algebra class, and sometimes they'll be asking questions after class. And we'll just take turns is what we'll do if there's another person there or people. There is also an office hour Tuesday and Thursday from 11 to 12. So tomorrow. My office hour, it's kind of a dumb word. It worked well a year ago, but it doesn't work anymore. I'm not in my office. You know where I am right now?
Your living room?
Yeah, I'm in my living room. I'm petting my cat. She's asleep, so I'm not going to pull her up. But one of these days you'll see my cat. So they're not really office hours, they're living room hours. But I'll be on Zoom. So again, all my hours happen with the same link. So just pop in on Zoom and I'll be there. It might take a couple seconds because if nobody's there, I'm not going to just stare at the screen. So I'll make sure that every 30 seconds I'll be checking. But if it takes a moment for me to look, but be patient. But it won't take that long. And I'll be there. The only reason why, for some reason, I'm not there is that means we probably don't have electricity. And so far, I think it only happened once last quarter for about 5 minutes, where it was a webinar. Actually, I lost it in my calculus class. I lost the internet. But so it's pretty good here. That's the good news. Okay, calculators. All right, so there are 2 types of calculators for this class. First thing, this is an online class and everything is online. So this is going to be a computer-based calculator. So the good news, and I think I've told you, how much do you think the calculator costs you?
0.
0. And because, as you might have started guessing, I'm a computer programmer. Okay, it's not my profession. My degree's in math, but I've been programming computers forever. So I actually created my own statistics calculator customized for this class. And I did it a year ago, which means I've had 3 full quarters of feedback from students to improve on it and make it better and better and better. So if you have any suggestions to make it better, okay, that I can do, then just let me know if you click on that. What this does, the way I wrote it, is it's got a list from 1 to 25 of statistics things you can do. Okay, and everything we do in this class can be done using one of these 25. And I named them using the names that we use in our class. Okay, so for example, a random number generator. That's an easy one. Want a random number from 3 to 10? There we go. Hey, let's get it. Uh-oh, I gotta fix, there we go, 17. So there's 3 to 19. That's, I typed it wrong. So there's a random number. I can get another random number. 11. That's kind of a boring one. Okay, you could also click back to the calculator menu. More importantly, this one will be using a lot more often, one variable statistics calculator. That's more what we're doing this week. And we can just get the statistics, I don't know, 2, 5, 4, 7, 8, 1. And I can say we want the sample standard deviation and hit calculate, and it gives me all the statistics we need for this class. I tried to make it as easy as possible. And I'll let you know if you have suggestions on how to make it easier, let me know. I'll make that happen. And so years of suggestion, students are really liking it now. And they even find this a lot easier than like the TI-84, or Nspire calculator, because it's just much easier to use. And it will be embedded in the exams. So when you need a calculator in the exam, it'll be there for you. It'll just be part of your exam that you can use. Just let you know that. Also, on each of these, there's a scientific calculator button. This I didn't program. This was a Desmos program, if you've heard of it. And that way you can just do regular old boring calculator. 8 times 69 was 552. Okay. So I have a scientific calculator button in that. That came because they wanted it last quarter. And it's like, yeah, it's something I can do. And I put that in. So if there's anything you want, ask me. I'll make it happen. So the good news, because I'm the programmer, I can make things happen for you. Any questions? Any questions? And it's free. Does everything we need. There is also another kind of calculator, and that's a spreadsheet program. I also coded it, and that uses Google Sheets. If you've heard of that, it's a Google program. And what the very first thing you have to do to use this is you have to go to File. Then you have to go to Make a Copy. Now, I'm not going to make a copy because I don't want another copy of my Google Sheets, but you're going to want one for yourself, and that way you can use it. And you're going to give it a name, whatever you want to give it, and hit OK. I'm going to hit Cancel. And this is a spreadsheet-based calculator. This will not be embedded in the tests, but this is what you'll use for the projects. And it is a requirement on the projects for one very important reason. And that is some universities, including University of Nevada, Reno, which turns out to be our closest university to our college, requires a spreadsheet use to accept our statistics class for transfer. At least I think their psychology department does. And for me, the #1 most important thing when I'm designing this class is that it transfers. Because my guess is that if this class did not transfer to where you needed to go, you'd be dropping today. Does that sound right? So
Yes.
It transfers as the general statistics, if you want some advanced PhD program statistics, this may not work for you. But for your general GE statistics class, this transfers to all the UCs, all the Cal States, and it transferred to UNR, transfers to most of the private little colleges in California. I can't speak for every college in the world because I haven't had students go to everyone. But this does transfer, and I've done everything I can so that it does transfer. And this is one of the little niches that has to happen, so that when I get a call from the university saying, does your class require a spreadsheet? I can say yes, and then they check the box and they let you in. Okay. So just let you know that that has to happen. And the way you prove that you did it is you just copy and paste it in your project. Okay, and then you've proven that you've used your spreadsheet, and then I have proof that you've used it that I can give to the university that you used a spreadsheet in my class. Any questions on the technology? Okay, as I mentioned, if you have a learning disability, then whatever accommodations are needed will work for you, and it'll happen. And I have their phone number, their email, their web page, whatever it takes, whatever works for you. You need to contact them, and then they make the decision, because I don't pretend I'm a learning disability expert. They are, and they make the decision on what the accommodation are, and then they let me know what accommodations you need, and then I make it happen for you. So just let you know that does happen. I will let you know in case we have anyone with hearing problems. All of the videos, except these live webinars, but they can happen if you ask. All the rest of the videos are full closed captioned. So they're, you know, they're good for that kind of disability. Okay. So most of the stuff I've got is good for, does work for students with disability. Just let you know that. Okay, tutoring. All right, we have our special, what we call embedded tutor here, and that is Braulio. So I'm going to let Braulio hit the stage. Braulio, you here?
Hi everyone. Good morning. Good to see you. I'll be your embedded tutor for this class. I've already transferred from LTCC, but I took the class with Win, and I've already tutored for Larry's class the quarter prior. So I'm pretty familiar with the topics and things like that. I try to make myself as available as possible. I'll be putting up my hours on a discussion post, and I'm not sure what Larry will do. I'm pretty sure he'll like make it better known, but I try to make myself as available as possible. So even though I'm not, let's say I don't put myself on the schedule to work that day, I'm still available to answer emails and yeah, I try to I'm pretty much like on the computer all day because I'm taking classes myself. So I just have the window open and I try to respond as quickly as I can. You can ask me for help with homework, discussion posts, projects, anything about the class really. Did I miss anything?
No, that sounds good. And when you do have your official hours, maybe the next time there's a webinar, you can announce them too. Yeah, out loud.
Oh yeah. I'm not. Yeah, I just
Whether that's
right.
next week or tomorrow or whatever.
I'm setting that up now, so I'll announce them next week, and I'll put up the discussion post as well.
Great.
Just also another thing, it's going to be mostly focused on Cranium Cafe, which is what the library at LTCC uses. Just to let you know, I do have separate hours for statistics and general library tutoring. If I'm free, just um, just consider both those hours, my office hours in that way. So that way you don't have to like just because I'm tutoring for the library doesn't mean I'm not there to help you out or I'm not available to help you out. So just feel free to stop by and email me if you're unsure. But yeah, again, like Larry said, I'll be posting it up in the discussion, and then next week or next time we meet, I'll say them out loud.
Okay, thanks. Any questions? You can pop in the chat box. You can ask them. But Braulio's great, and he's really helpful. So definitely, this class is not easy. I need to be honest with you. Most of you are going to need help, and get that help. Don't just give up. So when you do need help, go drop it, Braulio an email or pop into his hours and get some help. Post on the Q&A forum. But you definitely need to make sure it happens. Don't just like, well, I don't understand it this week, so maybe next week will be better. No. You don't understand it this week, you need to get help now. And that's really important. This is not a 30-minute a week class, by the way. It does take several hours a week to make it through this class. So be ready for that in terms of, doing your work, getting help, practicing, et cetera, et cetera. If you need help with Canvas, most people don't. I was actually on the statewide committee to choose Canvas. And the reason why we chose it for the California is it was so easy to use. And so, but if you do need help, there's a couple help links on Canvas. That's not usually a problem. Proctorio is usually the big messy thing, and that I'll talk about in a week or two, a little early still. Main thing, don't cheat. If you cheat, bad things happen. I'm just going to let you know, read through this, but be honest. Okay, on the exams, you should be doing your own work, not consulting with anyone else. You shouldn't just pay someone to do your work for you on the homework or whatever. You really need to do your homework. Down here is just a list of all the things that are due. I'm not going to go through them all, but this is a list of assignments. And that's the syllabus. Any questions about syllabus before we move to kind of the weekly stuff? Okay, let's go to the weekly stuff.
I just had one question.
Sure.
On the exams, are those mostly like a lot of written work? Do you
No.
write out your answers?
Yeah, the way it's going to be is about 15% or so is going to be multiple choice, and all the rest are going to be written work.
Okay.
We write a lot of sentences. In fact, I've even had people say they actually wrote more in my class than they did in their English class. Just to let you know, there's a lot of writing. This is not a regular math class like algebra, where all you do is moving X's around. There's very little of that kind of math in this class. It's a lot of explaining and analyzing. Okay, so this first thing, course information, this pretty much has all the stuff on the syllabus, but just in a different place. So I'm not going to spend any time on it, but you can look through it. Then this class, I set it by week. So for example, week 1, that's where we are now. This first link, that's that little introductory videos. You can see this is LTCC for years ago. Actually, we have different furniture now. But I'm not going to have you watch the video now, but that's the idea. Here is a webinar information. Okay. And if you hit the next button, you'll go from one to the next. You can also always go back to home or modules. And that'll send you to where we are. Then we have content. This is the student learning outcomes. These are the video links. More video links. These are chapter links, sorry, more video links. Then we have short video links. Then we have PowerPoints to the long chapters. Some people like to take notes on a PowerPoint, so I posted them up in case you want them. And then you have the assignments for the week. So let me go through the assignments. Okay, so here's the fun assignment. There's no statistics in this assignment. In fact, I didn't even prepare. I should have prepared, but I'll come up with some good stuff. Okay, so this is a discussion post assignment. 2 truths, 1 untruth. Please introduce yourself by stating 2 truthful facts about yourself, 1 thing that's not truthful. Okay, you'll see if other students can guess what are truthful and what are not truthful. Then respond to at least one of the students' lists to see if you can figure out which are truthful and which are not truthful. So I always have an explanation of the assignment here. Okay. Finally, after someone has responded to your list, comment on whether that student was correct. Okay, because you need to let everyone know which is truthful. Otherwise, you're keeping everyone up in the air forever. And write about how you plan on using statistics in your future. Please post a link by Saturday. This is the only week where Saturday is a deadline because we're starting on Wednesday. Usually Thursday is, but I need to give you a couple extra days. Okay, or earlier, so there's enough time to respond. Little rubric. So I'm going to hit reply. And now I got to, on the fly, I got to make up some stuff. So here are some maybe truths about me. And let me just pop some in. So how about my PhD is in statistics, where I researched confidence intervals for complex data. How about number 2? Okay, so again, you're going to type in your truths. Don't write down what your answer is, just type them in, or your untruths, whatever they might be. So how about I personally disconnected the Good news is I'm not the best speller, but Google is. The space station, space shuttle, while it was in orbit, disconnected the communication system of the space shuttle while it was in orbit. Causing it to delay landing for a day. And how about number 3 is I walked from my house to Yosemite. Sound good? So one of these 3 is not truthful, 2 of them are truthful. And now one of the things really important, don't forget hit post reply. Otherwise it didn't happen. And I always recommend looking and make sure it worked. And then you're good. Okay, don't reply to your own post, reply to someone else's. So I'm not gonna hit reply to myself because I shouldn't reply to myself. For this particular assignment, it's really one of the only ones, the last week actually you can do also, you reply to a lot of people's is nicer. You can guess everyone's truths and untruths if you want. And if you see someone that hasn't been guessed yet, please guess. Okay, it makes them happy. Nobody wants to feel all alone and no one looked. So if you see someone that hasn't been replied, you can reply to mine too. And you can guess. I'm not going to tell you, by the way, at least until, I don't know, 5 days or so from now. And then I'll let you know which is not truthful and which are truthful. Any questions? Any questions on this assignment? Okay. Then if I go back to discussions, go back to home. Under assignments, there's also another one. I don't think I'm ready to tell you yet because we haven't learned the statistics yet. So I think I'm not going to type this one out for you. But this one will be up probably within a day. And that's a survey design, but I'll read it to you anyway. I'm just not going to go over what I'm going to write. For this discussion, please first find an article or online course video, okay, that discusses a study that was done that uses one of the sampling techniques that we have discussed in this class. And of course, I haven't discussed anything yet, but tomorrow I'll be discussing it. Okay, you're going to want to search online for a journal article, news article, or course video. One research, I have a list of course videos over here. If you want to do a course video, if you can then post just a link to the article and instructions on where to find the pertinent information. Just note, if you're going to post a video, the pertinent information is what time to look. Don't post an hour video and just assume everyone's going to watch an hour. Okay, if you're going to post a video, you post a video and you say, you look at, time 3:52, 3 minutes and 52 seconds, and that's when the guy's going to start talking about what's important. Okay, if you can do a video. And if you're going to be doing a post to a article, and especially if it's a pretty long article, like more than a page long, write down the page number that has the right information so that you're not making your classmates spend an hour just reading the thing. Okay, then find a link from another student's post that has not already been analyzed by one of your classmates and reply to that student's post by discussing the sampling technique that was done in the study. Comment on whether the technique produced a representative sample. Identify any biases that may have occurred and describe how the data collection could have been improved in order to avoid these biases. Post a link by Saturday or earlier so that students have enough time to respond. Okay, I'm going to post, I didn't want to scare you, so I haven't posted it yet, but I'll be doing it definitely by tomorrow. I'll post a sample every week. I'll post a sample. I'll reply to my own sample. Don't reply to mine. And don't reply to your own just because I replied to my own. Okay, but I reply to my own with a full analysis so that you kind of can see what I'm looking for. And if someone else has already replied to somebody's post, don't reply to that one, reply to one that hasn't been replied yet. Any questions on that? Okay, so that's an assignment, an important one. So if we do a little more, and week 1 secret word quiz. It's going to look a little different for you because I'm the instructor. If I go preview, it has one question. What was the secret word for the week 1 webinar? Now, of course, you have no idea. You're not ready to take this quiz, and you won't be ready until at least, 7 o'clock tomorrow, because week 1 is tomorrow evening, okay? Or another time if you want it. But the point is, all you do is you type it in. That's not the word, by the way. And then you hit submit quiz. I'm not going to do that, but you're going to hit submit quiz, and it'll say that that's what you did. Very easy. Don't forget to do it. You don't want to lose 5% of your grade. Okay. And if you don't do it by, the time at which you have to do it by, which is usually Sunday, then you have to write 5 pages. Much easier to type one word in. Okay. Okay. Almost there. Okay, chapter 1, sampling and data. Okay, this is your regular chapter assignments. This is what they'll look like. So one thing about these is if you get it wrong, you can try again. And it will remember your best answer, your highest point answer. Okay, so even if you get it right and you want to practice more, you can always practice. And these are randomized. So they are, you'll get a different problem, but same idea each time out of these questions. You'll be doing these every week. This week, there's 2 chapters. So you'll have 2 to do. The chapters aren't that hard this week. So that's just a note. If you find a mistake, like even a little grammar spelling error or something, please let me know. Okay. There were 3 of us, Jessica, Cindy, and I, and we created this. And we made this system free for everyone. Any guess on how many people are using this now? Or how many people have used it? Yeah, this particular set of assignments, these assignments, it's about 500,000. So if you make it easier for other people because there's a little like weird written thing or mistake, then you might have helped them 500,000 people. There's nothing you could do better in life than help 500,000 people, right? I guess help 1 million people. So please let me know and then I'll fix it. Okay. But the good news is because so many people are using it, when there's a mistake, people let me know of it. And this has been used for a lot of years now. So there aren't a lot of mistakes left. But if you find one, let me know. Okay, in any of the assignments. All right, so I think that it's 12:29. I try to end by 12:30. I also teach at 1. I try to make it more than an hour and a half for all the webinars. Orientation sometimes takes a little longer. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop my share. And I'm going to stop the recording.